Hey there, fans of the Survivor Super Fun Time show. You know, if you're like me and you've dipped your little toes into the Australian Survivor world and go beyond US Survivor, you're really excited about what's happening right now in Survivor AU versus the world. It's really exciting because, you have your Aussies, the big ones, right? You have the Golden God, David. You have the King of the Jungle, Luke, King George. It's a really exciting season that's going on right now, and we're 6 episodes in, and I think there's only 3 or 4 more left. And, the fan reception has been huge up to this point. People are slobbering over how good this has been. And I think it's been really good too. It's been really fun. But there are some lessons to take away from Australian Survivor that I think are really important. I want to talk to all of you about it and see if you agree with me or not. Before we get into this, please hit the subscribe button to the channel. Love having more people to talk about Survivor with. And of course, we'll have more content for Survivor 49. I haven't been covering Australian Survivor, AU versus the world, because it's just kind of a rule. I just don't honestly have the time to do Australian Survivor, but obviously I'm going to be doing US Survivor. I'm going to be doing interviews, drafts, all that kind of fun stuff. So getting into it, what I really want to do coming from AU versus the world is I want to talk about some of the big differences and some of the big lessons that we can learn from Australian Survivor, AU versus the world that really applies to US Survivor. There's definitely some things that AU Survivor does a little bit better than US. And the first one, I think right away, themes. Bring back themes. I mean, Jesus Christ, Probst, what do we have to do to get you to understand that themes matter? And I don't mean Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. That's a theme, I guess, but it's not really like a good theme. It has returners, so that's good, which we'll talk a little bit more about on this list. But the idea, Titans versus Rebels, Brains versus Brawn, AU versus the world. I was actually hoping the first iteration of this type of game was going to be US versus the world instead, because I mean we're the originals. We're the ones that should have a tribe of just American players. Unfortunately, they ended up doing AU versus the world, and it was a whole different deal. It's only a 16-game season, but it doesn't matter. I love it because it's themed. It's on brand. We have the world players versus the Aussies. We're going to be Aussie strong, have country pride. And the theme can matter. Rebels and Titans, people talk about the idea of being a Titan. It's really important. I mean, go back to the history of the US Survivor. I mean, brains, brawn, and beauty. That's something that's been really important. And I think we're seeing the importance of how a good gimmick, like, a theme, it matters. I mean, David versus Goliath is one of the best that's ever happened. And I think people really love the idea of, the Goliaths facing a David. When they work so good. Because I think we really love a good gimmick. We want to see people wear the costume, play the role. And even though they're going to be their own individual players, I like to see them kind of defined in a way, like part of an inherent team. Like, I want to feel like the team is really a team. Whereas UF Survivor, I don't feel that way at all. I think it's just interchangeable team of 6 people with random emblems on their buff. The second lesson that I think US Survivor needs to learn from AU vs. the world, returners are fucking awesome, okay? And I understand there was a point where it was a little bit overloaded. In the 30s, I mean, you had, Cambodia, you have Game Changers, Edge of Extinction, and I totally get it. I totally get it. Even Island of the Idols was a returner in some way. And then Winners at War. I totally get it. It was a little overexposed, but it's been 9 seasons with no returners. And I think we're at a point where we've surpassed what the original US Survivor was before they brought returners back, which was, season 8, Survivor All-Stars. Now we're at 9 seasons, there are no returners. Now, season 50 is going to be returners. That is true. But beyond that, I think we need just the New Era All-Stars. There's so many people that were left on the table that we're not getting. I don't know how. It should have been a Battle of the Eras. That's what season 50 should have been. Not in the hands of the fans. It should have been a Battle of the Eras. And now we still have some prime A1 meat on the table for New Era All-Stars. Like, we need a returner season with Jesse Lopez from 43. We need Carolyn Weiger and Jam Jam from 44. Will Carson have a shot to break fire once again? We need these mega players. Sam Fallon. We need Andy Rueda, Marianne from 42. We need these mega players to have a shot once again. And if I have to go another 9 seasons to see them, I'm going to be distraught, pissing me off, and they're going to be messing up. Number 3, this is something that AU Survivor actually probably needs to learn from US Survivor, but gender imbalance blows, okay? Because AU Survivor started off AU versus the world. This was more women than men. And it's no surprise, spoiler alert, that there's been some issues with men being voted out. Survivor is very much like prison in many ways. You break it down based off of certain traits, certain communities that you belong to. In this one, in AU versus the World, it was, are they American or are they not? Are they a man or are they a woman? And that's really what it broke down to. So there really isn't much to choose. And if it's going to break down that way from an elementary perspective, then you need them to be balanced. The tribes need to be balanced in that way. And I think that's where AU versus the World actually botched it. And I need US Survivor to remember, keep the genders balanced, okay? Now back to lessons where US Survivor needs to get their hands slapped a little bit. Not a single vote has been lost on AU versus the World, and people love it. There's nobody crying in the streets, oh, poor strategy, terrible strategy, where are all the votes lost? Why are there no journeys with dice being rolled to make people totally tank their games? Sorry, Justin. No one's crying like that. No one's crying like that at all. And you know why they're not crying like that? Because no one likes to see players lose their votes. No one likes to see players lose their votes because the vote is your voice in the game. Jeff Probst has said that for a very long time. I'm an OG fan, okay? And repeatedly, kind of like the torch, having your torch lit is your presence in the game. And it's always been said, your vote is your voice in the game. And Jeff Probst has made the game so that you cannot have a voice sometimes. And it's not even your choice. Pure luck. Pure luck. There's times where, a journey has to happen. Someone from your tribe has to go. And somehow someone's going to get the short end of the stick. And then you could go and you could literally play a game where you roll die and you lose your vote, where you don't have a choice to opt out of it. It's crazy. I think Jeff Probst, the journeys need to stop. Losing your vote needs to stop. All of it needs to stop. We don't need it. AU versus the World, Australian Survivor prove it. Losing your vote does not add to the game. It does not. It makes it more complicated, I admit. It does mix the votes around a little bit. But if you're making a good television show with a sound game that's based in relationships, all you need are hidden idols. That's it. Honestly, you just need hidden idols and maybe the odd goofy power, and then you're good. So US Survivor, please stop. Jeff Probst, stop. Because I know you control things. Stop. And the last one, sorry to keep coming at you, Jeff Probst. I really don't mean it because you're a nice guy. You're the godfather of the game. All of this is only possible because of you and, your commitment to the game. But JLP, even though he's about to leave Australian Survivor, getting booted, he doesn't make it all about himself. Jeff Probst does. When you watch AU vs. the World, you see the players playing it out. JLP is not the one doing gargoyle poses. He's not offering them popcorn at Tribal Council. He's not saying, come sit in my seat. Not giving them Twizzlers. Not sitting back and like, let me do a British accent during the auction. No, he doesn't do anything like that. And that's because JLP as a host does not make it about himself. Now, I am intrigued because Australian Survivor the next season is going to be hosted by the Golden God himself, David. I have a feeling he's going to be a little more selfish with camera time. But I think that it's pretty clear people really like JLP, the way he hosts. And Probst, it's not it, dude. Like, as the executive producer, I mind him a little bit less than I do as a host now. And I used to love him as a host. As executive producer, he needs to stop the journeys, take away votes, like I just talked about a little bit ago. But overall, I think he believes in casting really good people, and he does. And I think he has other flaws, like his creativity is totally out the window when it comes to challenges, when it comes to tribe colors, tribe emblems, no themes. All that is whack. But I still think his hosting is more whack because he makes everything about himself. I want to see a game that's about the players and add a good amount of drama. And US Survivor now is not super into drama if it isn't game bot strategy. And that's kind of annoying because I know the players have more to offer in that way. I think we didn't grow up with that game. I think that the current people watching now don't watch it just so they can see who's going to lose a vote or not. I think people watch it because they believe in people. They believe in the drama that's associated with it. They want to see a good story. And Survivor does bring a good story still ultimately, but it's not as good as it could be. And I think AU vs. the World is showing less is more ultimately. And the bonus thing that we learned from AU vs. the World, which is really important, one of the biggest critiques that Survivor fans have of the new era is they hate the 26-day game. They're like, oh, it's not a real game. It's not the real 26-day game. This is garbage. I'm not going to watch. Well, if you're watching AU vs. the World and you love it, you have to know that it's a 16-day game. It's actually 10 days less than a new era game. And we can see how they can still build drama in the story. It seems like there's still hard gameplay. It's arguably even harder because you're going fast. You're just like one after the other. There's a vote every day. There's multiple votes. So there's no time to really sit down and think about these things. So if you've been complaining about a 26-day game, but you love AU versus the World, then I think that you're going to be in for a rude awakening when you find out that 16 days, if you haven't realized it, for AU versus the World. So it's very clear from a narrative perspective that a shorter Survivor game can work. Now, is it a real game? No. AU vs. the World it's a game, but I would not consider it like a real Survivor game. Nonetheless, really good TV show. We just want to see returners out there. We want to see these giants play against one another in a game. I would watch all these people play a game of Settlers of Catan if I could. I'd just like to see strategic giants go against one another. And I think that's something that everyone's interested in, no matter how many days these players play. I just think there's a lot more that could be done to make US Survivor better by replicating somewhat of the Australian Survivor model. I think the ratings wouldn't tank or anything like that. I understand some of the concern potentially with that because Australian Survivor, funny enough, as much as people love it, because US Survivor fans who watch it, they definitely do glaze it up way too much. I like Australian Survivor, no question. Loved watching Brains vs. Brawn, Miles and AJ, love y'all, Kirby, King George, David, all of them are great, but it has its own flaws. I mean, the idea that you go to tribal council and only the person who's like wearing immunity can vote out of like 9 people, that's crazy. So it's not perfect, but I think it's closer to what it should be. It's closer to the original core of the game. And that's what I think US Survivor needs to do is follow AU Survivor's example and get back to the core of Survivor. Make it about personal relationships, finding the votes. And honestly, multiple idols to make things a little crazy. I'm into that. Is it the fairest method? Probably not, but neither is just ripping people's votes away from themselves. I think it's really crappy what US Survivor has done with that. But that's my take from the AU vs. the World experience so far. I mean, if you're not watching, it's really good. Check it out. Check it out. It's so good. And we've seen some really awesome stuff. We saw a shoe idol, which was fun. I didn't see that coming. Kind of like the Adam Klein idol from Winners at War. That became kind of a reality, sort of, which is interesting. I'm really excited to see how it finishes. I think we only have 1 week left. It's going to be great. But let me know down below in the comment section what you've learned from AU vs. the World, stuff you really like from Australian Survivor that you wish would go to US Survivor, or vice versa. Let me know, and I'd love to chat with you. Also, if somehow you know somebody who has the AU vs. the World buffs and you're trying to sell, let me know. Otherwise, that's going to do it. Hope you have an amazing day, everyone. You take care. Goodbye.